Hi everybody, I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm just here for a little crochet and a chat. I thought I'd make a video for beginners. Everything I wish someone would have told me before I started. Because it takes a lot of research and time, and time is of the essence, so they say. So in honor of back to school, I've got my little notebook and my little highlighters and my little note cards, which will probably drive you crazy for those people who just are super into tech, and if you're a real Excel spreadsheet sort of person, which I used to be, but this is creative, so I just let it all go, right? So yeah. So the first thing I think you have to have is a good attitude when you're crocheting or doing anything in life, really. You know that old saying, whistle while you work? I haven't heard anyone say that lately. I think it's a great phrase. Like, just keep that in mind. You're going to create things and you're going to not like it because depending on your mood when you're crocheting, it can turn out awful. But just put a little reminder, if you don't like what you do, undo it and start over. You can always pull it apart. That's called frogging for the noobs. And remember, the ugly holiday sweaters that bring joy and laughter and comfort weren't created by following the rules. So remember to have fun. That's number one. That's the first thing. And give yourself permission to experiment, explore different things. Do what you want to do when you want to do it. When it comes to crochet, it's I know we all want to just create the perfect thing the first time out, but the reality is that most of the time doesn't happen. Sometimes you get lucky. Beginner's luck might be, but I've got some helpful things for you, things I wish I knew before I started my nice to know section here. And in honor of back to school again, I made my sloppy little list because again, when I create, I just like to scribble, scrabble, scratch things out. It's okay. That makes me feel good. It's kind of like a therapy, really. But the easy and the harder, easier, harder list. When you're first starting, pick a stitch that's easy. The one stitch that I wish I would have learned first, because you can do so many things with it. It's so easy. It's literally just chaining. It's just stitching and then doing a single crochet. That's it. You're just single crochet and chaining. That's it. And you can make a whole blanket. I'm finishing my lattice blanket. And you can turn this into a bag, a sweater, a blanket. I'm doing a blanket. But that one, and it's not time consuming. You'll get to the end of your project quickly. And that's very encouraging, because the bigger the project, like blankets, cardigans, and don't start with a hat or socks. Socks especially. Oh my goodness. That can be just, you'll get frustrated and you won't. And crochet is so fun. Set yourself up for success. The other thing you want to look for are hooks. Do matter. If all you have are these hooks, that's okay. And don't be fooled. The shinier, you'd think, oh, the shinier, the slipperier. No, this is a Clover Moore, which you'll see Elise Rose Crochet. She's great. These two YouTube channels are really excellent. I've watched a lot of creators, but I always go back to Elise Rose Crochet because she will do a deep dive on what are the best hooks, what are the best yarns for what project. And she's very meticulous, and her husband helps her out with technical things, and it's really great. And she does these comparisons and tests them out for you. I'm not so much into that. I like to help people, and I do like to share. But yeah, I like to keep it fun too. So she's in a business. I'm not doing it for business. I just do this for fun. But anyway, so whatever you've got, start with that. Do yourself a favor. Don't use anything too big, too small. And that goes for hooks and or yarn. The other thing is you want nothing splitty. So I do have some examples here. This is a clue. You're like, well, how do I know if it's going to be splitty? Well, if you get the yarn and it starts with, let me see if that's in focus. If it starts with the ends being frayed like that, that's a clue that's... Now, I'm sorry, I do like this yarn, but I would say it's changed over the years. When I originally bought it, it was much softer, much silkier. And now it's a little more coarse and it's a little more splitty, just have to say. But I still love it. I still work with it. Now something like this loops and threads, you know, this is staying together pretty well. And you can see it's not too splitty at the end, and it's kind of taut, and it's, you know, a medium weight yarn. You don't want to go for, the other thing is you don't want to go for a sport weight or these fine thread yarns. I've got another example of that. So here's a thread. You're going to have a hard time holding on to it, to be honest. And especially if it's a lightweight and it's slippery. This one's very slippery. So slippery, lightweight, or fuzzy. These are, oh, heaven. You want to melt into these yarns, but this is so hard because the stitch definition, you can't see anything. You really have to feel your way when you're crocheting with yarn like this. Now, I typically use yarn like that for borders, but sometimes, you know, like you got to use a very large hook, like a 25. Just to give you an example, this is a 5.5. So imagine, I do have a 25 here somewhere. It's not here. Oh, I know where my 25 is. Okay, so this is a 25 versus a 5. And yes, they do make real crochet hooks that big. That is a legitimate crochet hook. And it's recommended for the fuzzier yarns. Like this is Shaggy Chic. Oh, I'm in love with this yarn, but you're definitely going to need either a bigger hook, and doing a loose, like the lattice stitch that I'm recommending. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can make a whole cardigan in probably 2 hours. Like seriously. The very large stitches, it's going to go a lot faster. It's going to be cute. It's just adorable. I don't know what I'm going to make with this yet. I just saw this and I just had to have at least one. I do have it in blue as well. But yeah, that's as far as texture is concerned. You also don't want, like, this yarn is, I love the gradation and it's very fall, you know, getting a lot of fall vibes. And although it's not splitty, it's fuzzy and you can't pull it apart very easily. So if you start something with this, you got to know what stitch. So very hard to start with a yarn that's fuzzy, that you can't pull apart very well. But now, having said that, there's also very slippery yarn that you're going to have a hard time holding on to it. So this is fuzzy and slippery. This is the Feels Like Bliss yarn. And it's just really, it's a dream when you're crocheting with it because it's so soft and squishy. And that's actually the edging that I used for this. This blanket is in process. But if you're a beginner, stretchy and slippery, not so great. Big and fuzzy, lovely, and you'll get there, but I wouldn't do anything too complicated or even start with those. Or fuzzy and doesn't pull apart very well, because you're going to want to be able to do a little bit, pull it apart, do a little bit, pull it apart. So okay, so the other thing besides texture and the size of the yarn is the size of your project. We mentioned a little bit when we talked about blankets, cardigans. You know, you can make a small blanket or a small cardigan, but again, it's going to be, you know, sleeves, bit tricky, the neck portion, the wrists, the cuffs, the, you know, if you're going to do ribbing. So too complicated to get started. Things that you could do: make a coaster. You can do the lattice crochet bag to hold your work in process, because believe me, the first thing you probably want to make is a bag to hold your work in process, because you're going to start things and then you're going to, like I work 40 hours a week and, you know, plus, and, you know, I'd love to have just all my time crocheting and crafting. Wouldn't that be luxurious? But I don't have that luxury. So, you know, making the most of your time, and you're going to have to put things down and start things and go back to them. Now the other, I just wanted to mention too, cotton yarn is, it sounds great, and I love the idea of like a cotton, especially in summer, like a cotton with the lattice throw, like a mesh throw over your bathing suit or whatever. But cotton is very stiff, and your hands can start to hurt very quickly, especially if you have any kind of, you know, issues. And it does take strength. Like I sew and I crochet, and I've done actually some industrial sewing. You would think that people that sew, like they have very delicate hands. It's true, you may, but then you'll notice that your hands will get very muscly and very strong over a period of time. And the other important thing is take care of your body. Your body is your friend. So I have like a whole wrist cuff that is a massager, and I just turn that on. It has a heat function, so that's very, very important. Stop, you know, don't do things too long or too short. You don't want to hurt yourself. This is a repetitive task, so you can get into the realm of, some people at least talks about that, like she doesn't crochet with cotton anymore because she gets in the little carpal tunnel, sort of. You can hurt yourself with it. So remember, be nice to yourself. Now the other thing I wanted to talk about is picking. When we were talking about picking the projects, I know I skipped around there a little bit. I don't want you to get bored, so keep you on your toes. If you see anything that says lace, now lace is gorgeous, but they can be a little more of an advanced tutorial. Like I did this one, and this, it looks like, oh, well, that might not be too complicated. It's very pretty. It's very whatever. You've got to, you're crocheting, and then you're turning it backwards, and then turning it over, and then working this way, and then working that way. So it goes in all directions, front, back. You're flipping your work. This, anything that says lace, just, you know, save that for a bit later, unless you really, really want a challenge. Now, this is a little simpler. I don't, again, Elise loves, she loves granny squares. I don't. So, but I did find this lace granny square. And I did it with two different yarns. I did it with this one and this one. And that's the other complicated thing. If you see something that looks like this, you're going to have to know how to join a yarn, you know, and insert it and then drop it. And then maybe have 2 or 3 or 4, however many colors you want, going at the same time and pulling and then inserting and then putting those down and picking the other one up. Save that for later. Okay, you will get there. And then I thought, well, it's a lace granny square, so it's not just completely square. It does have like, you know, curved edges, and then you can do it in a diamond. And if you connect these, you can make a blanket. But I made these and I experimented. Now, there's another thing I'm going to talk about. Don't yell at me. You can see some pilling. You can see some fuzzies. I got a reason for that. But I also made this hexagon, but I'll use these as coasters. So this is a great way, just making little coasters, like for your coffee, your tea, whatever. And then if you make enough of them, you can put them together as a blanket or placemat or, yeah, whatever, or a hot pad for your food. Just choose the right temperature, material for the temperature. Now this, the other thing you might want to have, pilling. It's called pilling. And it's when maybe some of the yarns that are fuzzier, they're going to get these little bumps over time. And maybe you purchased a sweater that has those little bumps. Get yourself one of these little things. I got this one. Maybe $10 to $14, but there's more expensive ones that are elaborate and they can change. But you just turn it on and you run it over it. It gets rid of the pills, and then you just empty the little fuzzies out of there. But that was the purpose of having this one that got all the fuzzies on it. so yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that those things can make it easier because you're going to spend time creating something, and then if you do like it and you want to use it, but the yarn that you have will pill, it makes it look ugly and bumpy, and you can't throw it out. That's your hard work. So yeah, just get something, to kind of clean it up every once in a while. You don't have to do that very often. But yeah, so those are my tips and tricks. The other thing I wanted to mention, you know how we talked about that thread yarn? Here's a petal dress that I'm working on with the thread yarn. So in a different color, but yeah. And that one, you can just search petal dress crochet on YouTube. Pretty easy to find, but that's another one you want to wait for later. So I hope this was helpful. The other thing I wanted to mention that you may want to, now I do this, but you can do your spreadsheet or you can do whatever you like. But I'm just going crazy, just starting something, I start with a stitch and then I find the thread I like. And then, so I'll just jot some things down, and then I experiment with patterns. So and then if I don't like the pattern, I throw the card away, right? It's over. We cross it out and move on. But if I do like it, then it's right here. And I've got this bag where I do my color schemes and my texture schemes, and then I put all of the work that everything for my blanket is going to be in my bag for me to use. So it's all right there. And then I'll just throw those in there as well. And voila. And then you can start and stop, and you always know where you're at. All right. Now, I wanted to mention Hooked by Robin just real quick. The reason I mention her is because she is very, very good at getting into the detail of how to chain. She's very, very, she's like perfect when she, like her stitching is so even, and she'll show you how to do straight edges, and she creates some really super cute things. So she's really good beginner tutorial person to follow. And I just made a note to myself here too. The cat ate my homework. You can see where my little notepad here. He loves to eat paper. Seriously. And so Everest will be making his YouTube debut. So watch out for that. Okay. Catch you later for Crochet and a Chat. Have a good day.